Hi, and welcome to your test corrections video for ratios, rates, and proportions. Before we begin going through the test, I want to talk you through what your test correction should look like. So you're going to need a piece of paper like this that you can either download from this Canvas assignment, or you could ask your teacher for a copy of this. We'd be happy to share that with you. Make sure you go to the first question that you missed. You're going to write that question number here. You're going to write the answer that you had, and then after you have worked out the question, you're going to write the correct answer here. Most importantly, because this is the part where you're going to get your credit. If you don't do this part, you won't get credit. You need to write a well-written sentence about why you missed the question, what you should have done differently, what you did instead, and how you should have solved the problem. Be as detailed as you can, because fluffy, not great answers will not get credit. All right, let's go on to the questions. Please check the timestamps below, and you'll be able to go directly to the questions that you missed using those timestamps below the video. We will begin with question number 1. In 13 hours, Bill has traveled 994.5 miles. What is his rate in terms of miles per hour? So the first thing I'm going to do, because I want my answer in miles per hour, is write my labels over here. I'm going to be doing miles and hours. I may even put miles over hours. Then I'm going to put my miles. Looks like that's the 994.5. That's my miles. And then my hours are 13. We're asking for a unit rate. We're not setting up a proportion or anything. So to get that, I simply divide my miles by my hours. Use my calculator for that. 994.5 divided by 13. That gives me 76.5. So my answer is 76.5. But I'm not done yet. I have to label. That's going to be 76.5 miles per hour. That is how number 1 should have been completed. All right, moving on to number 2. A grocery store sells a 6-pack of water bottles for $2.40 and a 12-pack of the same water bottles for $4.20. Which pack is the better deal? So this one we want to see, which pack are we going to pay less per bottle? So again, that's pay per bottle, or cost per bottle. A lot of people who miss this switched this around, and it gave you an answer that was not clearly telling you which pack was the better price. Remember, we talked a lot about always putting the price on top. So for the 6-pack, we had $2.40, and that would be 6 bottles, $2.40 for 6 bottles. And then we had, for the 12-pack, we paid $4.20 for 12. Now we want to see the unit rate for each of those. So we're simply going to do what we did over here on number 1, but we're going to do it twice. So we're going to do $2.40 divided by those 6 bottles, giving us 40 cents a bottle. So for the 6-pack, we're paying 0.40. We're paying 40 cents a bottle. And then for the 12-pack, we spent $4.20, and we're going to divide that by the 12 bottles that we got. And for that, we're paying 35 cents. Sorry, let me write that correctly. 35 cents per bottle, which means we're paying less per bottle, so the 12-pack is the better deal. That should have been your answer. Again, finding those unit rates. If you flip them around, you were actually saying dollars or bottles per dollar, which is a harder way to compare those two numbers. Question number 3. The graph shows the speed of a vehicle. Find the speed in kilometers per minute. So we're looking for kilometers per minute. That's what we're looking for. A lot of students had a hard time finding that, but right here, guys, down here we've got minutes, and right here we've got kilometers. So if I want to know my kilometers per minute, I'm going to start with my kilometers. So kilometers are going up and down. Looks like right here for my kilometers, I am at 1/4. 1/4 of a kilometer, and my minutes is 1 minute. So my kilometers were 1/4, judging from this point right here. My minutes were 1. Anything divided by 1 is just what you get. So that would be 1/4 kilometers per mile. Kilometers per mile would be your label. And that should have been your answer. Number 4. Mrs. Youngberg has 6 girls and 18 boys in her first period class. Ms. Dowdle has 8 girls and 26 boys in her first period class. Are the ratios of girls to boys proportional? So we're going to set this up as girls to boys. First, I'm going to write Mrs. Youngberg's girls of 6 and Mrs. Youngberg's boys of 18. And then I'm going to put equals, but I'm going to put question mark there because I don't know if they're equal. And Dowdle has 8 girls and 26 boys. There are multiple ways that you can check this. You could find your unit rate by doing 6 divided by 18 and 8 divided by 26 to see if they're equal. You could have cross multiplied to see if you got the same number, or you could have put them both in simplest form to see if they were equal. Let's do the division. So let's do 6 divided by 18 is going to give you 0. But let's find out. 6, I think I know what it's going to be, divided by 18 is 0.3 repeating. 8 divided by 26 is 0.376307 ... and it goes on. Okay, I don't even need to know which one was bigger or smaller. All I needed to know was they are not equal. So are they proportional? No. No is the answer. I could have cross multiplied. If I got different answers, I would have also seen that they are not proportional. Number 5. Find the value of x so that the ratios 6 to x and 9 to 27 are equivalent. 6 to x. Now, I like to have my y's on top, and in this case, 6 to x would look like this. 6 to x. I'm going to rewrite them as a fraction so that I can use proportions. And we want to see, when is that equal to 9 to 27? Order is important. I had 6 first, so 6 goes on top, 9 first, so 9 goes on top. X was second, it goes on the bottom. 27 was second, it goes on the bottom. Now we're going to simply cross multiply. That's going to give us 9x equals 6 times 27. Again, I'm going to use my calculator. Was 162. We're not done yet. To undo multiplying x by 9, I have to divide by 9. 162 divided by 9 is 18. Your answer for x would be 18. Number 6. Number 6 looked like a lot to do, but really we're just going to set up 2 proportions. So I have a ratio of 5 to 3 halves. So I'm going to start off with that, 5 to 3 halves. That proportion we know is true. We weren't told that they weren't proportional, so we're going to assume that they are. That would be equal to I over 6. Now all I have to do is cross multiply to solve for I. So I'm going to multiply 3 halves times I, so that gives me 3 halves I equals 5 times 6, which is 30. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 3 halves. Now I know that dividing by 3 halves is the same as multiplying by 2 over 3. 30 times 2 is 60, and 60 divided by 3. So let's see, that's 30 times 2 is 60. divided by 3. 60 divided by 3 equals 20. So my I answer would have been 20. Now we're going to move on to the next one. Here's what's kind of cool. This is 20. We know that now. So I can use this ratio to do this one. I didn't love the 3 halves, having to use the fraction. So I'm going to use this ratio proportional to this ratio so that I don't have to use a fraction again. So I have 20 to 6 should equal 4 to D. It's asking if I have 20 inches on this day, or in this many days, how many days will it take to get to 4 inches? How many days? All right, so we're going to cross multiply again. This time we're going to do 20 times D, giving us 20D equals 6 times 4, which is 24. To solve that, I'm going to divide by 20. When I divide by 20, I get 1.2. 20 divided by 24 is 1.2. So that's my D answer. So right here, D's value would be 1.2. You just had to set up 2 separate proportions to solve for those 2 missing values. Number 7, do X and Y show direct variation? So to test for direct variation in a table, we told you to do the division problems, Y divided by X. And we're going to do all of them and see if we always get the same answer. So I'm going to do 11 divided by 1 ABC3, and I get 33. Awesome. Now making sure I go the same way, so I'm going to put my Y on top. I'm going to do 16 divided by 2 ABC3. Oop, I got 24. Let me double check that one more time. 11 divided by 1 ABC3 is 33. Okay, as soon as I get 2 different answers, I know my answer is no. I don't have to continue. Every single answer has to be the same. So as soon as I get something different, I know my answer is no. That is not proportional. It does not show direct variation. Number 8. Write an equation for the proportional relationship shown in the table y equals kx. This one takes a couple of steps. We learned that k, or our constant, is going to equal one of our y values divided by a corresponding x value. So we need to do y divided by x. This one looks the easiest to me, 12 divided by 1. I could do 24 divided by 2. It is direct variation, so any of these would work, but I'm going to go with, well, let's do this one. 24 divided by 2. 24 divided by 2, or half of 24, is 12. That means k is 12. So now I'm going to use this equation to write a relationship between x and y. So y will always equal 12 times x. And notice that works. If my x is 2 and I multiply it by 12, I get 24. If my x is 1 and I multiply it by 12, I get 12. If my x is 0.5, I promise, if I multiply that by 12, I will get 6. This is the equation. Most people who missed that one missed that you were trying to write an equation and you had to find k and then replace k in the equation y equals kx. Write and solve a proportion. X and y vary directly when x equals -9 and y equals 12. What is the value of y when x equals 21? Well, it said to write and solve a proportion, so I better write my proportion. Again, I'm just going to make the habit of always putting my y over my x. So my first ratio is 12 to -9. This is my y. Sorry, I forgot to write that. And this is my x. So now I'm going to look for my y value. What is the value of y when x is 21? Okay, it doesn't look like we have a y, but x is 21. And we're looking for a y. All right, time to cross multiply, right? We're going to cross multiply here and get negative 9y equals, let's pop that in the calculator, 12 times 21, 252. $252 is our answer. We're not quite there yet. We have to divide by, careful, not 9, but negative 9. We're going to divide both sides by negative 9. I already have 252 in my calculator. Sorry, oh, I deleted it. 252 divided by 9. Nope. Divided by negative 9 gives me a negative 28. So y equals a negative 28. Simple cross multiplication, one-step equation. Number 10, write and solve a proportion. In 5 minutes, Janet can type 160 words. Okay, I'm thinking we're going to want words per minute. So I'm going to put words per minute. That makes the most sense. Janet can type 160 words in 5 minutes. Then it says, at this same rate, how many words can Janet type in an hour? All right, I can't write 1 here, excuse me, because that would mean 1 minute. We have to know that in an hour, there are 60 minutes. So this is going to be 60. That may have been your mistake on this one. So now we're comparing minutes to minutes. And up here, we're going to get her words in 60 minutes. So we're going to cross multiply, getting 5w equals 60 times 160, 9,600. We're not there yet. That would be 5 times that. We only want to know what w is. We're going to divide both sides by 5. And when I divide that number by 5, I get 1,920. Now, what's important, guys, is we understand what 1,920 is. The question is, how many words can she type in an hour? And the answer is 920 words. Be careful not to put words per minute. Words per hour would be accurate, because that's how many she can type in an hour, not in 1 minute. Question number 11. A zoo has 15 monkeys, 12 parrots, 8 snakes, and 5 lions. Write and solve a proportion to show how many parrots you would expect to find in a similar zoo with 120 animals. So our first question is, well, how many animals are in this zoo, right? We know that they have 12 parrots, but we need to know how many animals they have altogether. So I need to add up these numbers. So I'm going to add up the 15 monkeys, the 12 parrots, the 8 snakes, and the 5 lions. To get a total of, I would add 12 and 18 and get 20. And I'd add 15 and 5 and get 20. And realize there are 40 animals in that zoo. Added a letter to animals. Sorry, guys. So now I know that 12 parrots out of the 40 animals is our ratio. We're going to do parrots to animals. We're comparing how many parrots in our zoo. We have 12 parrots and there are 40 animals. We know in this similar zoo there are 120 animals. And we want to know how many parrots there are. Again, we're going to cross multiply. 40 times P is 40P. 12 times 120 is 1,440. Not done yet, right? We've got to divide by 40. I'm going to take that number that I just had, divide it by 40, and I get 36. Okay, not good enough. You need to label your answers. That would be 36 parrots. More specifically, there should be 36 parrots in the similar zoo, but 36 parrots is an acceptable answer. Number 12. My mother would call this one a doozy. You paint 4 walls, and each wall is a rectangle with a length of 22 feet and a height of 12 feet. 1 gallon of paint covers about 330 square feet. How many gallons of paint do you need in order to cover all 4 walls? Hint, draw a picture of one wall and find the square feet of one wall. All right, so this should have been your first step, to draw a picture of your wall. It's got a height of 12 feet and it's got a length of 22 feet. To find that area, I would do 12 times 22. And I got one wall is 264 square feet, which means I have 4 walls to cover. So I would multiply that by 4. When I multiply 264 by 4, I get 1,056 square feet that I need to cover. Now this says that 1 gallon will cover 330 square feet. So I have a ratio there. Let's do gallons and feet. 1 gallon will cover 330 square feet, but I don't have 330 square feet. I have 1,056 square feet. And I want to know how many gallons is that going to take. Another cross multiplication problem. So we're going to cross multiply here and get 330G equals 1,056. And then we're going to divide by that 330 gallon, or that 330 times the gallons. And when I divide, I get 3.2. 3.2 gallons. Now, we did have some students who told us it would take 4 gallons because you can't buy 0.2 gallons. Not exactly true, but that is a fair assumption that if you're buying gallons of paint, you can't just buy part of a gallon. So we did also accept 4 gallons as an answer there.